For my second lesson, I would like to introduce you to my cameraman here. This is Leo. And Leo and I have been spending a lot of time at the farm over the last few weeks. This is his first year in 4-H. And he's been spending a lot of time with his animals. I'm really, really proud of him. I'm glad he's here today. Before we start, he's really excited because this is going to go on YouTube. And he's spent a lot of time watching YouTube. Leo, if you could recommend one YouTube channel, what YouTube channel would it be?
Dude Perfect.
He watches a lot of Dude Perfect. If you haven't watched it, it's about like guys trying to like make baskets and do like crazy sports shots and stuff like this. So Leo's going to be back maybe at the end, but we wish you guys well. And this is Leo, and he's going to go cameraman for me. Go ahead, buddy.
Okay.
All right. So today what we want to do is we want to talk about something called EPDs, expected progeny differences. Last time we talked about the Punnett squares and how your alleles and characteristics and heredity, you get your traits from your parents. And so what we want to do today is we want to talk about these. These are called expected progeny differences. And expected progeny differences are utilized in livestock production and producers all across America every single day. And they're really, really important because it comes down to the bottom line is making a profit. So how do we get these things to make a profit? So you have to understand that animals in the United States are sold by the pound. And because they're sold by the pound, you have to understand how that works. So in cattle industry, they are sold by the hundredweight, okay, which is called CWT. So we want animals to grow pretty fast. And so what we want to do is we're going to do a lot of EPDs today that are going to determine about cattle, and we're going to talk about birth weight, calving knees, weaning weight, yearling weight, API, dollars beef, and dollars energy. So let's help you guys understand this. I will share with you a couple stories. So the very first one is birth weight, okay? Animals that are born, okay, we want them to come out of the birth canal pretty easily. And so animals that are born bigger usually got that genetic trait from their parents. And so we typically want a birth weight fairly low. So we want a birth weight fairly low. And most of the time, heifers have a harder time than mature cows having babies. So we want cows to have under 4, and usually we want heifers to have under 3. Now, I always say that God makes ag teachers be put in different scenarios, so let me tell you a story. When I was probably 28, 29, there was a bull that I really, really wanted down in Texas. And I called this guy, and he said, boy, he's the best bull I got for sale. It's called WHR. Look him up. They're a shorthorn breeder. And WHR Shorthorns. And I called Bill Razor, I think is his name, and I said, Bill, I want the best bull. And then we talked it through, and he said, yep, you picked out the best one. But he said he's got a high birth weight, and I'll never forget, he had a birth weight of 4.2. All right? He had a birth weight of 4.2. Now, what that means is that does not mean that he was 4.2 pounds. That means that he had on an average ratio, he was a 4.2. So let's say that 95 or 90 was average. Well, average birth weight. Well, it kind of does a ratio thing to average them out, and whether it's 5-pound increments or whatever, but we ended up buying him and taking him home and bred him to everything on our pastures. And we at the time had 35 cows. And by the time it ended up, we had only 26. 9 of those cows passed away while they were giving birth. And that's not an okay thing. And so I learned my lesson from that, and we look for low birth weight cattle. Anymore, every bull in the United States that's probably purchased that has EPDs, everybody's looking at birth weight. And if they're not looking at birth weight, they're looking for show cattle, and they're going to be there when that animal's born. So that's really important. So if anything else, you want acceptable birth weights. In my opinion, if you can get under 1.5, that's exactly what you should do. The next thing is called calving ease. And actually, the higher number of calving ease, the better. And generally in the United States, especially in Missouri, Missouri has something called a Show Me Select Heifer program, where they have these bred heifers that they sell every fall and spring. And these heifers must have a 7 or above. And that means it's a combination of how good of a pelvic area they have so they can push out their babies, but also it is a combination of their genes passed down for the birth weight. So it's the best combination. And actually calving ease probably is a better EPD to go by other than birth weight. So calving ease is a really important thing. You want that very, very high. The next thing right here is weaning weight, okay? If you talk about it, is something called weaning weight. Weaning weight is what their weight is when they are weaned at 6 months age. So weaning is basically taking them away from their mother. And we do this because at a certain point of their lifetime, they can no longer get more nutrients for their mom than they need to take from other places. And so at 6 months is about the range for this. Well, I don't know exactly, but I would say 70-80% of cattle grown in the state of Missouri are sold at weaning. And we will sell these cows to feedlots in Oklahoma, Kansas, Nebraska, Texas, and we will feed these cattle out. And they will be put in a field, and they'll be fed out together. And these feedlots will do this. So if 70-80% of your cattle are sold at weaning, wouldn't you want this number high? The answer is yes. So we want weaning weight high as well. So weaning weight, we want high. And the reason that we want weaning weight high is because you're going to get a return on the investment. I want to put you guys in a situation here where you help to understand that. So let's just say that I have a calf that is 550 pounds. And I have another calf that is 450 pounds. Well, if I am getting $2 per pound at the sale barn for weaning animals, how much is that? Well, this is $1,100, and this right here is $900. Now, that's a 200-pound difference, or $200 difference for those animals. And so that's why weaning weight is important. So if I have an animal that's weighing 550 pounds as opposed to an animal that's weighing 450 pounds, I'm going to get close to $200. Well, I want you to think of this in a larger scale. Let's say that I have 100 cows. And I have 100 cows, and they're making this much more. 100 times 200, is that a lot of money? Absolutely. That's a lot more money in your pocket. That's a lot more to the producer. The next one is yearling weight. Yearling weight's important because animals are closer to maturity. They're close to being ready to breed around 15 months of age. So they do something called yearling weight to see how much they weigh at yearling weight. And they do that EPD. You also want yearling weight extremely high. The next one is called API. API, in my opinion, might be the most important one. API is called All-Purpose Index. This takes all of your statistics, your birth weight, your calving ease, your weaning weight, yearling weights, everything, and puts it together in a combination. It's called All-Purpose Index. Usually these are in the hundreds, and you want these higher the better. Okay, so all-purpose index is one of the most important. Okay, and all-purpose is a very important factor. Next one is dollars beef. Dollars beef is basically amount of how much dollar value profit you're going to have because of muscle, because of ribeye area and things like this. Now, ribeyes are a really important aspect of what we're doing, and loins and things like this. Your sophomore year, you guys are going to learn a lot about the primal cuts of an animal. The chuck, the loin, the rib, and things like that are really, really important aspects. The chuck is the shoulder, it connects with the rib, and that connects with the loin. What we do is, we do a measurement, and those of you who went to Bradford Field Day, you were able to measure the ribeye area of steers this year, which was really, really cool. I think a couple of people were able to do that, which was really neat. And this helps determine the dollars beef. The last one is one of my favorite ones. This is called dollars energy. Another word for dollars energy is stayability. All right, stayability. Excuse me. Stayability is amount of fat that an animal can maintain throughout the year. And a lot of harder doing animals that are really tall or really naturally skinny, those animals have a lower dollars or a lower dollars energy. The higher the number of dollars energies, that means the money you will save, the profits that you will save. I'll give you an example. I'm only 5'8". If I weigh 200 pounds and I'm 5'8" or 5'9", if I weigh 200 pounds and somebody that's 6'5" weighs 200 pounds, who in here, who would have to eat less? Someone that's 6'5" would have to eat more to maintain enough fat condition than a person that's 5'9". If a person that's 5'9" like me eats a lot, I don't have anywhere to go up, so I'll just go out. And so those are some things that are important. Pause it, if you would. The last one that I want to talk about today is dollars energy. And dollars energy has to do with their ability to eat less in order to gain weight. The difference between that, I would say, is this. I'm 5'9", and let's say someone else is 6'5". If someone is 5'9", they will have to eat less in order to maintain body fat like I do, as opposed to someone who's 6'5". And that's something that you need to kind of understand. Some animals naturally carry weight and naturally don't get too skinny fast. And that's actually a good thing. Because when they get skinny, that means you have to put more input costs in them, and you have to feed them more. If you have to feed an animal more, it's going to cost you more money. So let's say that I have to pay $50 more a month for one animal because it eats more. Well, if I have a herd of 100 and I'm paying $50 more, all of a sudden that's $5,000 more a month that I have to put into that. So getting animals that are high in stability and high in energy, they will save you money in the long run. So those are a couple things I want to talk about with that. Now I want to end today by talking about, and Leo's going to join us here in just a second. Seamus, can you go over here for just a few minutes? I'll bring you guys in just a few seconds. So now I want to talk about swine EPDs and then sheep EPDs. So swine EPDs are known as really important aspects in swine production, and days to 250 is an important aspect. And days to 250 is the number of days that it takes to get to 250 pounds. This number we actually want low. Now, a really good number for this is about 150 days to 250. 250 is market weight, and that's what we're going to sell. I have a student that's buying a market pig for me in a few weeks, and it's going to be at 5 months old. It's going to be, or at 5 months old, it would be nice if it would weigh 250 pounds. And then you could sell it. The faster that it gets to that market weight, the faster we can sell it, and then we can make a profit. If something takes 200 days to get to 250 pounds, you'll never recoup your money. So you want fast growing livestock. The next one is SPI. SPI is really important because this is sow progeny indexes. This is how good of a mother they are. Okay? And so if that number is really, really high, that's a good thing. If that number is 100 or lower, that's actually very negative, and they won't be very good mothers, and they won't be very productive in the farrowing crate. The next one is TSI. TSI is a terminal index. I want to say terminal sire index.
Tell me what.
Soon, buddy. Terminal sire index is basically, they used to breed a lot of terminal sires. They still do to these maternal lines. And so if that number is high, that means they're going to have a higher loin eye, they're going to be leaner, and you're going to get a better cuttability. And cuttability is leanness and meat and muscle, lean meat product combined. The next one is NBA. It is called Number Born Alive. This is something that my herd has really strived to improve over the last few years. And this is a number that the number that's born. And that's an important thing, okay? And so we want to have a large number. If you don't have a large number born, you're not going to have a lot that are going to come from that. And what's going to happen is you're not going to make a profit. In these big sow places in Princeton, Missouri, they have like 500,000 sows in a facility. And what they want is they sell these animals at 21 days old. And they sell these animals at 21 days old. And what happens is, if their mamas produce 12 babies as opposed to 8 babies, okay, and they sell those for $35 a piece, you're talking 500,000 having 3 litters a year. You're talking about a lot of difference in profit, and a lot of profitability that can happen. And so what we want to make sure that we do is we want to make sure that we have a good number born alive. So 12 is obviously better than 8. The last one is 21-day litter weight. And so at 21 days, they will weigh all the pigs in the litter, and they will determine what it weighs. And that means they can determine if the mom is a good milker or not. And so those are the things that goes into it. When you're thinking about buying pork, all of these things are being thought of ahead of time for you. Talking about leanness and cuttability, the mom's rates, and also growth. And so that they can get a good product of pork to you. The next thing in sheep is birth type and rear type. Sheep are born in sets of singles, twins, or triplets. And so a lot of times we want them to have a birth type of more animals, because more is better, because you're going to be able to have more to sell. Okay, so if you have a bunch of females that are raising twins as opposed to singles, you're going to have better results. Rear type is how many that they have live. So sometimes you have twins and only one of them lives. And so if you have twins born and twins that are reared and raised, that's a good thing. So a rear type of a twin is better. Then they have 60-day weights and they have 90-day weights. And these are a lot of days when they're sold and things like this. And 60-day weight rates are really important in 90 days. And what they want is they want those ant numbers especially really high. So today, the only thing that you want number low is days to 250 and birth weight. Now, what I want to talk to you to end this off today before I bring my boys back in is this. This is a number called CWT. This is hundredweight, okay? And C stands for century, okay? And so in America right now, you're seeing a lot of prices go up in the stores. I saw on the internet today an article about how the prices of, and it actually showed our meat section in a Hy-Vee. And this had like a red tag on it, and it says, due to the supply in the United States, the price of this product is going up. Well, actually, they're actually just taking advantage of the consumer in this case. The supply in the United States is exactly what it's been forever. Farmers are producing all this meat, but the price to the farmer is actually lower right now than it has been in years. The price in the supermarkets are higher, and they're kind of lying to you. What is affecting this in a negative way is because people are coming down with COVID-19 and they're having regulations and how many people can be in these plants, what's happening is the places are being able to process food slower, and they're actually shutting down some places. And because of this, there's not as much food being marketed out, and that's one reason that their prices are lower. There's a place, I believe, in Minnesota that's a Smithfield. And Smithfield is a place that has a lot of hogs being processed and packaged yearly. And because of COVID-19, I think they had like 600 employees, and like 250 of those employees came down with COVID-19. And so they've had to shut down their plant from operation for the next month or two because of this big problem. And I want you guys to understand that I hope that you guys are safe. I hope you guys are keeping social distancing practices because it is very important. I also want you to understand that the meat industry, the farmers are still producing meat as good as ever and things like that. I want to end today by bringing two of my three sons in. My other son's turning 3. Seamus was really excited. He's my blue-eyed boy. Can you say hi to everybody?
Hi.
All right. And Leo's my film guy. And anyway, I hope you guys are safe. I hope you guys had a great Easter. And don't get overwhelmed. If you need anything, reach out to us. We'd love to help you in any way we can. Hope you learned something from those. I hope you understand that not only does this relate to agriculture, but it also relates to life too. So I hope that you guys are well. Hope you are safe. If you need anything, please reach out. And again, keep putting those SAE essential videos up. God bless and take care. All right.